what is the craziest thing you have done to save money? Let's see if I have done any of these things that the Frugal Fit mom has done.
Kick it off with the number one. It was 2005. My husband got his first job out of college, and we needed to go to the town to find a place to live. So we drove to the town to go apartment hunting. We could not afford the $50 a night hotel room. But what we did know is that there was a campground, and the campground was $8.
Okay, I haven't done this exact thing, but I have done my fair share of camping in a tent that someone gave to us, mostly just for fun, not for business purposes. But camping can be a really frugal, inexpensive way to see lots of cool places on a really tight budget. Now we kind of mostly glamp because we bought a trailer with AC and an oven. It's wonderful and so much better than camping in a tent. But when the money is tight, definitely camping in a tent can be a cool way to see new places. You definitely have to check the temperature before you go though, because if it gets too cold at night, you are not going to be comfortable, especially if you bring little kids. Even though that was kind of my main motivation for getting a camper, is that I still wanted to get out in nature and have some experiences, but I wanted to be able to bring the little kids. And if you've ever slept in a tent with a small child, you know that they do not appreciate getting cold at all. And then nobody gets to sleep. So when you have heat in your trailer, problem solved. Everyone can sleep. It's glorious. But when we were broke and first married, we definitely had lots of cheap getaway weekends away with a tent.
I'm not sure if I'm really proud of this or really ashamed of this. You be the judge. When I had multiple toddler-age children, I was part of a weekly playgroup. We had a schedule, and we would go to people's community pools, and we would go to parks. And in the wintertime, we would meet at a McDonald's play place. So indoor park, the kids could play on the play place, and all the other moms would buy like McDonald's Happy Meals and McFlurries and those fries and the Diet Coke. Not this girl. I did not have the money for a $5 Happy Meal. Instead, I packed peanut butter and sandwiches and crackers and bottles of water. And my kids played and they ate their sandwiches and they didn't care and I didn't spend a dime. And I don't know what the McDonald's employees thought about it. I don't even know if they noticed. The biggest frugal flex ever, to go to McDonald's play place and bring your own food and not buy McDonald's food.
I miss those McDonald's play places. I feel like they keep taking them out of every single McDonald's. So it's not like there's one in your town necessarily, because they had such cool slides and stuff. I remember going to those as a kid. I actually think this is okay because they were with a group and other people were spending money. So really they're attracting a lot of business for McDonald's. So, you know, whatever, one person doesn't buy anything. Maybe they wouldn't have bought anything anyway because they had lunch at home before they came. I think it's okay. What do you think? If you do have a playgroup like this, it seems like it would be better if you could meet places that wouldn't really expect some sort of entry price, you know, because not everyone is in the same financial place. And it's definitely not unusual for young families to feel tight on money, especially if perhaps the mom decided to not work so that she could provide the childcare. Then it's like you really got to clamp down on that budget.
When I was first married and we were building our first house, my mom lived about 45 minutes from us. And we actually lived with her while our house was being built. After we built the house and we moved into the house, I would still come back and visit my mom and raid the pantry. Finances were tight.
This one is pretty hilarious to me. This kind of happened for me, but kind of in a different way. You know, my parents were helping me out when I first moved away to college. And, you know, when I'd come back on a break, you know, they try to send you home with lots of extra leftovers so that you can have something good to eat for at least a couple weeks before you have to cook again or something. So I remember we would like cook meatballs together and then I would freeze them and stuff like that. But it was kind of a mutual agreement and not so much, you know, going into the pantry and seeing what was there. After I got married, I feel like that was where we drew the line. No more pantry snatching, even though sometimes we do get to take tasty leftovers home. Because my mom is really into cooking and makes amazing things, and I am not. Where was the magical line for you with your parents about when it was not okay anymore to raid the pantry? I do totally get this idea that, you know, you just bought a house or you moved somewhere new and expensive and your apartment down payment and new furniture that you maybe needed, that all adds up, and then suddenly you're feeling really tight, and then you're like, wait a minute, we still have to eat? How are we supposed to do that? That's why I tell people when they're buying a house to save their emergency fund separate from their down payment so they don't end up raiding their parents' pantry at 35.
I have amazing veins. really, really good. When nurses see my veins to draw blood, they get very, very excited.
I'm ready to work. I'm excited.
I donated plasma for grocery money when I needed an oil change on my car to pay for my kids to play soccer, all the way up until I was 34 years old. In fact, I was just talking to a friend of mine about this because he was telling me how he's donating plasma. He's 50. And I was like, oh my gosh, you still donate plasma? And he's like, yeah, how do you think about this bike? This is my plasma bike.
We should start naming all of our possessions off of the side hustle that we use to afford them. That would be great. This is my caregiving coat, and this is my DoorDash couch. So you can make a decent amount of money donating plasma. There's never been a center close enough for me to consider doing that because I kind of live in the sticks. But you know, I would definitely be watching out for yourself and making sure that you are healthy and you're feeling okay about it and it's not depleting things from your body that you need. And I know there's already specifications on how they do that anyway, but I just want to be super cautious that I wasn't physically hurting myself for, you know, grocery money.
We had $25 to $30 a week for groceries, and that's for a family of 6. I started stalking the Facebook local pages because there are some really good gardeners in my area. The people who have like an acre or 2 acres, and they just love to garden and then they have too much. And people would post on there all the time, I have too many onions. Please take as many as you can pick. I grew too many cucumbers. I have 150 cucumbers. Please come get them.
So I have done this on occasion and mostly just for fun, but then I start calculating and I'm like, what about my time? So if I could spend 2 hours a week doing a side hustle where maybe I'm making $50 an hour, that would more than make up of any amount of food that I could be gathering and canning, because that all takes time and time isn't free. So maybe I spent 6 hours getting those tomatoes, canning those tomatoes, cooking those tomatoes, buying the jars so that I could can the tomatoes. That's not free either. How much would it really cost for me to just go buy 6 cans of tomatoes? And how long would it take for me to make that much money? So if those 6 cans of tomatoes cost me $10, how fast could I make $10 as opposed to spending 6 hours gathering, canning, storing, all the jazz? So yes, gleaning can be a fun activity, but we really have to see, does it really make sense financially for me to actually do that? The only advantage I can really see to foraging like this is that you can get some unique and fresh fruit, perhaps like those cherries or the apricots, but you could probably buy them at a farmer's market, same sort of thing. You gotta weigh out like the time spent. And I also wanna be thinking about whether or not I actually wanna consume that many pie cherries. Like that means you're making a pie, which, you know, pies are great, but I don't need a pie every week. But if I had all those cherries that I needed to use and I spent all that time gleaning them and storing them, I better eat a pie every week. And that's not necessarily a plus. What is one of the coolest things that you have foraged for?
Some might think this one's crazy. I don't, but we do eat expired food in my house. I did a whole video on it. It's this one. I'll leave it below if you want to go check that one out, where I just made like expired food and cooked it for my family. It was fine. We were fine. No one got sick. Arbitrary numbers stamped on a can don't mean anything.
Well, there's probably a reason that most of those expiration dates exist, because of course it would be more profitable for a company to have a longer expiration date. So they've probably already pushed it to the edge of what is reasonable for that food. One thing that I would consider doing if I was really tight on my food budget is looking for those things that are near to the expiration date, and they normally discount them, especially like meat and stuff. So there's nothing wrong with it yet, and it's not expired yet, but you buy it and then you could just freeze it right away, and then it would be perfectly safe, but they had discounted it because of the nearness to the expiration date. Even though I was just looking at this piece of salmon that was discounted in that same way, but it wasn't technically expired yet, but like it was turning some interesting colors, and I'm like, let's not. I don't think saving that amount of money is actually worth it.
TLC ruined couponing for the couponers like myself. If you were one of the couponers back in the day, if you remember the 2007 December Target Huggies diaper deal, come at me in the comments, right? You guys are my people. I got everything that was free or a moneymaker, even if I didn't need it. Do you remember those glucose monitors from CVS? They just give them away for free and then give you extra care bucks on top of that. I used the extra care bucks to buy Christmas presents for my family. We did an entire CVS Christmas one Christmas from those glucose monitors. And then I had a garage sale and sold all of my excess inventory. Nothing expired, nothing opened.
Okay, I've been to a lot of garage sales, but I've never been to one where they were selling cereal and pretzels. Have you been to something like that? I just feel like it's a strange way to be buying food, but I don't know. So coupons back in the day obviously were a better deal. I just remember JCPenney's having lots of great coupons, but then they decided to go away with coupons and they're like everyday low prices, and then they brought them back. Anyway, I remember using coupons in that era. We get coupons from Kroger that we use if it works out, but this is another time thing. How much time did you spend finding the coupons, clipping the coupons, arranging the coupons, bringing the coupons? And how much time would have it taken you to, DoorDash for that money instead? Now, I am a firm believer in couponing for bigger items because it has a bigger impact. So every time I get my Shutterfly photo book, I always Google Shutterfly coupons, where I'm looking for that magical coupon, the one that's like free, unlimited extra pages. That's the magical one because I can never cut down on how many photos I want in the photo book. So I always need that coupon. Now, I'm sure Shutterfly has this all worked out so they can stay profitable, but when I'm ordering a photo book, it says maybe it's $120 or something because I have a lot of extra photos, and then I find one or two coupons and then it's $40. And I'm like, I just saved $70 in that 5 minutes it took me to find those coupons. That is actually worth the time. If we're going off what's my hourly rate, I'm definitely not making $70 an hour at any sort of side hustle.
Now, I don't think this one's crazy either. I dressed my kids like 100% in Old Navy clearance and garage sale clothes. You go to like a really nice neighborhood where they would do multi-family garage sales.
Shopping at garage sales can be a totally economical way to clothe your kids. But I find this works better when they're younger and they're gentler on their clothes, which means the used clothes that you're getting are less worn and they don't wear them out as fast. So my boys love to run, play, jump, do all the things. It seems like they get holes in their pants in like 2 weeks or something. But if I had already bought them a used pair of pants, it's even sooner because someone else had already done that 1 week of wear that it takes for my kids to put holes in their pants. So I'm finding that buying used clothes is not actually really a good option for us right now. Sometimes shirts can work or jackets. The other thing is that it's very hit or miss. So you're spending a lot of time, this whole video is all about time, I guess. You're spending a lot of time looking, going, driving to these garage sales, finding them, looking for the items that you need, not finding quite the right thing. And that is precious time that you could be doing something else with. I can hardly ever seem to find any used boy shoes that are not totally torn to shreds. So we're buying new boy shoes too. Maybe it's a totally different thing with girls, but boys seem to wear out their shoes really well. I'm lucky if I can pass them to the next kid in my house.
It's great for kids to have some skin in the game when they play sports. When my daughter Haley played club volleyball, the fees when she was about 13 or 14, it was about $800 for the season to play. Like if you just gasp in your chair, I'm gasping with you. But I wanted her to have opportunity, and what was great is the league did fundraisers in the form of selling boxes of potatoes. She had to sell 50-pound boxes of potatoes. That is how my kids were able to play club sports. It's a win-win-win. The kids need some skin in the game.
I think it's so hilarious that the fundraiser is potatoes. I've never seen a fundraiser like that, but then I'm like, why would that be? And it's because they live in Idaho, and I guess there's lots of potatoes in Idaho. Most of the fundraisers that I have seen are like those hanging baskets or that fancy popcorn that tastes way too good, or sometimes even coupon books. But yeah, this is super common for those expensive sports and all those fees that they need to pay. Have you used any of these frugal hacks? If you like videos like this, please hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Bye for now.